Are you a doctor, nurse, or allied health professional in private practice? And have you ever looked at your diary and seen it completely full and still thought, why on earth am I not taking home more money? Being fully booked might actually be one of the biggest threats to your clinic's profitability, because if your diary is full of the wrong treatments, every extra patient can quietly make you poorer, not richer. In this video, I'll show you why that happens and how cosmetic vein treatments can transform a busy clinic into a genuinely profitable one without buying a shiny new device or working longer hours. I'm Dr. Haroun Gajraj from the VeinCare Academy. I help doctors, nurses, and clinic owners build profitable cosmetic vein practices so that they can do the work they enjoy, solve problems that really bother patients, and get properly rewarded for the risks and responsibilities they take on. Let's get started with the real problem I see again and again. Many private clinicians are very busy, but when they look at what's left at the end of the month, it doesn't really match the effort. A full diary is not the same as a profitable clinic, especially if it's filled with low-margin work. In the NHS, the model is very simple. You trade time for money. You put in the hours, you receive a salary. The calculation is straightforward and predictable. But in private practice, that mindset just doesn't work. Here, each fee has to cover overheads, consumables and labour before there's any profit left for you as the owner. So the question changes from how many hours did I work to how much profit did each clinic hour actually generate. In other words, we must move from the time for money to time for profit. There's a real cost to just opening your clinic, and let's make this concrete with a typical scenario. The clinic is open 40 hours a week. There are 2 treatment rooms. There are 4 members of staff, including you as the owner. Even before you see the first patients, costs are ticking away. Rent, business rates, salaries, insurance, utilities, software, equipment leases, baseline marketing. When you add these fixed overheads up across a year and divide by the hours you actually are open, you end up with a figure that often surprises people. A 3-figure cost per hour just to open the clinic doors. Every treatment has to be measured against that number. And how do you calculate that number? Well, the process is pretty simple. First, add up your annual fixed costs: premises, staff salaries, insurance, software, equipment leases, and so on. Second, calculate the actual numbers of hours you're open in a typical year. Third, divide one by the other. That's your hourly overhead. From that point on, it becomes a non-negotiable part of every profitability calculation. If a treatment doesn't clear this, its share of that overhead plus consumables and labour, it simply doesn't deserve a place on your clinic menu. And that leads us how to calculate profit per treatment. Once you know your hourly overhead, you can look at each treatment clinically and financially. For every service, you ask 3 questions. What's the fee? What are the variable costs? For example, the sclerosant, disposables, stockings, card fees, and so on. How long does it truly take, including preparation, documentation, clean down, and preparation for the next patient? From that, you can calculate profit per treatment, fee minus variable costs minus overhead for the time used, and then profit per hour. That profit divided by the number of hours the slot takes. That number, profit per hour, is what determines whether a treatment should stay, be repriced, or replaced. So why are cosmetic veins so attractive? Well, cosmetic vein work, particularly leg and facial spider veins, behaves very differently from generic aesthetic treatments. In a well-designed cosmetic vein practice, these treatments tend to be short, often 30 to 45 minutes per session. They're relatively low in setup cost. You don't need a full theatre or a 6-figure laser. And they command strong fees because visible veins really bother people. Put that together and you've got exactly what we want. High profit per clinical hour. So, if you swap out just one low margin, time-hungry treatment for one cosmetic vein session in the same slot, the difference to your bottom line can be striking. Let's make this concrete. Let's compare two different treatment slots. Imagine 2 appointments of equal time length in the same room. In one appointment, you're providing a low-margin service. It's pretty lengthy, it's got higher consumable costs, and it's only a relatively modest fee. Once you allocate overhead per hour, the profit is poor, sometimes even negative. In the other appointment, you're treating cosmetic, leg, or facial veins. It's a shorter procedure, low-cost consumables, and quite a healthy fee. The profit per hour is far higher. From the outside, the clinic looks equally busy in both scenarios, but financially, they're completely different businesses. That's why it's so important to analyze your diary not by the number of bookings, but by what each type of booking contributes to profit. The next key question is, who should actually be doing these treatments? As the owner, you are usually the most expensive person in the building. If you spend your time on routine, protocol-driven treatments that could easily and safely be delegated, the clinic suffers financially. You should be thinking about delegation when the treatment is protocol-based and can be taught safely to someone else within their scope of practice. A nurse or associate can deliver it at a lower labour cost while still maintaining a strong margin. And crucially, when you can use this time you've freed up for even higher value activities, that's a real bonus. Those high value activities include complex clinical work, but also consultations, open evenings, education and marketing activities. So where should you, as the clinic owner, focus your time? Broadly, there are 3 areas. Firstly, the very complex or higher risk clinical work where your skills and experience make a genuine difference to outcome and safety. Secondly, supervision and decision making, overseeing the protocols, maintaining clinical standards, deciding on treatment plans and handling escalations, complaints for example. Thirdly, strategic work, free or low-cost consultations, open events, patient education, and building referral routes. When you step back from routine treatments and concentrate on these, every hour of your time becomes far more valuable to the business. Many people describe this sort of work as working on your business rather than working in your business. It's a subtle but important distinction. Let me bring this together into a simple roadmap, what I call the profitable cosmetic vein practice model. The steps are: analyze the true profit per hour of every treatment in your clinic. Remove or at least reprice the low profit services. Add leg and facial spider vein treatments to your menu. Train lower paid but appropriately qualified staff in microsclerotherapy and shortwave diathermy, provided it's within their scope of practice and under your governance oversight. Use your own time for complex clinical work, for high-impact consultations and open events, and for the marketing that keeps your diaries full. This isn't about working harder, it's about changing what you do during the hours you already work. So what does this mean for you in practical terms? Well, if you want to move from busy to deliberately profitable, there are 2 straightforward routes. Option 1 is to train yourself. If you're a doctor, nurse, or suitably qualified clinician, you can learn to offer cosmetic vein treatments personally. That allows you to replace low-value diary space with high-margin clinical work. Option 2 is to train your team. You can send a nurse or another appropriate team member to the VeinCare Academy and then they'll come back to you able to deliver profitable cosmetic vein treatments under your supervision. Essentially, creating a new profit center in your clinic while you keep your focus where it's most valuable. If this has resonated with you and you'd like to see what cosmetic vein treatments could add to your clinic's bottom line, here's what to do next. Check out all the links in the description box below. You can download my free guide, the £62,000 Roadmap. It's a financial analysis of launching high-margin microsclerotherapy and shortwave services for leg spider veins and facial spider veins. My name's Dr. Haroun Gajraj from the VeinCare Academy. Thank you for watching. If you found this interesting and useful, please give it a like. It really does help get the word out there. And be sure to subscribe. That way, you won't miss my next video.